So as we near 900 episodes of Kal Kat on the Weird Kitty '07 channel, just a few handful of them, two handfuls of them shy of 900 videos. And a little thingy, the thing. Actually, they don't give it out. They don't give that YouTube thing out for videos. They give it out for subscribers, and they should give it out for views, because nowadays with all the commercials, nobody's ever going to get that many subscribers anymore. They're not going to get thousands. They're not. Yeah, so it's thousands, 10,000, 30,000, a million. Yeah, the only people that are going to get that many are companies. So, so we give ourselves a 900 video award, basically. They don't do it that way. Anyway, so, but here we have Mulan, the remake from, it was 2020. Yeah, it was the 2020 movie. It was, finally got around to watching it. And, Mark's Cards had seen it 6 months ago, and I referenced it and parodied scenes from it in all Transformers Mush series, including the geisha scene. But I was more spoofing the cartoon, because I hadn't actually seen the movie. I'd only seen reviews of it, lengthy reviews of it by critics, including a Chinese drama critic, who basically broke down as to what was wrong with it, including there was a fascinating online thing, commentary and response to Kal Kat directly there. I had mentioned that if they did the geisha paint scene again, that would be bad, because it's Japanese and they're Chinese. And she said, well, they didn't exactly do that. What was wrong with that scene in this one? They did that in the cartoon, yes. But what's wrong with it in this one is their costumes were wrong for the time period. So, yeah, they screwed it up in a different way than this one. Also, to visually make the each side noticeable, they had to put all the good guys in red and all the bad guys in blue, so you could tell which side was fighting which. So it wouldn't be like the Hobbit prequels and have like gray characters fighting gray characters on the battlefield. You can't tell who they are. But yeah, so many people have done massive reviews of this. Some of them longer than the movie. That we really kind of treading over the same territory. So I guess I'll just kind of say, it's not up to even the level of the Aladdin remake. The Aladdin remake is actually more fun than this. Wow. The Lion King one was worse than this. The Lion King remake wasn't worse than this, because it was very bland and not colorful. These were colors in this. They did change some things from the cartoon. No songs, except for that song at the end, which was nice. With the end credits with the letters in 3D and all that. It's not probably look cool in 3D, but yeah, 3D Chinese caricatures, the picture writing, that's how they do it. Yeah, but other than the really obvious shots of the concentration camps from that are current were funny. Well, not funny, but sad. No. No. Internment camps are not cool to put in your movie, Disney. Don't do that. So they have internment camps here. But yeah. They filmed them. Also, at times, they filmed close-ups of the walls of the tents and the tent city thing. And you could see those little ring things that they make the modern tent with, and they connect them to. I mentioned that was a little strange. Also, the lanterns appear to be modern, but stuck inside like a bulb, so you could see everything around it. It looked like a lot of it was done on green screen and a full motion cap thing, pull around kind of thing. Yeah, and some of the buildings weren't built yet, like the lady said. Some of the buildings, they did kind of imply one of them was under construction in the fight scene at the end. Yeah, so they technically wise, a lot of odd choices to kowtow to the Chinese audience that would be watching this, as just as the COVID thing started, they would then not be watching it because they would go home. And that's kind of what happened. So I guess it didn't. It's out on DVD apparently as well. So, but we have Disney Plus. So, what else we got? We got Disney Plus. We got Amazon Prime Plus. Well, that's Paramount Plus. And we have which would probably have to get rid of one of those. And we have the other one, Netflix, of course. We have what else are we gonna do? We also have the other one, the HBO Max. So we get all that just to see what's coming up. Sometimes they don't show it in our local theater, so we have to have HBO. Yeah, they didn't show Kong vs. Godzilla. We had to see that here. So this was watched in the studio. This was online on Disney Plus. We didn't buy it. Well, we technically bought it, but because we watched so technically we did buy it. We were watching Disney Plus, which you paid for each month. So we technically did. But I didn't go to the video store to buy it. I didn't go to the theater to buy it. The second COVID vaccine was just about a week ago, a little over a week ago. So not for another, I would imagine, 8 or 9 days can we go to a movie theater, then go back to the other cast members. After that, probably late May, early June. We have some movie reviews to do. So yeah, that was kind of cleaning house there. The movie was, the fight choreography was okay. They tried. That was fun, but there were long stretches of this movie where the odd choices they made to make this sort of seem more authentic was actually distracting. The costumes were distracting. That one lady said, they didn't. Some of those outfits were 200 years too modern to be when that time period took place. They changed the enemy in it from the Huns to the Chochins, I think. That would have been a later group. So by 100 years, and and the dynasty that's addressed in it, the Hui dynasty, I guess, before that, which kind of doesn't work. And the so there's a lot of issues. Mark's cards had fallen asleep when watching this, apparently, but I didn't fall asleep. There was enough going on. Before I forget it, though, the villain's motivation, she's a witch in this version, and as the lady pointed out in the thing, that a spirit character is different from a witch in Eastern culture. A witch doesn't really exist as a thing in Eastern culture. It's either an angel or a demon or some other form of spirit. They don't call it a witch. They wouldn't have called her a witch. They would have said like a spirit, evil spirit. They didn't really have witches per se. They didn't have magic in that sense. It would have been something else, like ethereal spirit. I think. Phoenix, though, that's an odd choice. Wouldn't it have been a dragon? Oh well. So the witch ladies in this movie, which shouldn't be a witch lady, her plan makes absolutely no sense. Apparently, she's got the Wei Chin gang, and she's like, okay, I'm going to infiltrate the Imperial City. That's her plan. I'm going to take over the Imperial City, kick out the Emperor, and make myself the Empress. So I'm going to possess some guards and some tribesmen and stuff, get inside the city. I can do that anyway. And when I get there, then I'm going to alert the Empire that there is an invading force of these other guys that are going to come there with their blue outfits, their blue bow staffs. They're going to go like, and so we have to go and fight them. So I'm going to basically tell, as the bad guy, I'm going to tell the good guys how to defeat me, which is kind of like in Battlefield Earth when the evil It's the Battlefield Earth ploy. It's like, it goes back to old James Bond movies before that, but it's the Battlefield Earth ploy. It's like, oh, Mr. Bond, you can't stop me now. I'm going to explain my entire plot to you. But you, of course, will then figure out how to stop me. This movie does that to the nines. This does it the whole 9 yards. The whole 9 yards. So if you know what that is. It's a World War II expression. Not like in the movie, the whole 9 yards. I got it wrong. In the whole 9 yards is, there's 9 yards of bullets and machine guns on a World War II American airplane. So when they give them the whole 9 yards, they fire off all 9 yards of the bullets in a row. And that would mean that you're out of bullets, but it would also mean you totally blasted the bad guy full of holes. So the idea here is that the nines is something else. And like, so the idea that the bad guy lady is telling them there's a big attack coming, so assemble an army to fight me and defeat me, is like, why? Wouldn't it make? I mean, it's the stories attributed to Genghis Khan and Sun Tzu and that kind of thing. Eastern battle tacticians would say that was a really bad tactic. Why would the bad guy do that? Like, I'm not going to be even remotely sneaky. In fact, I'm going to tell you where I'm going to be, and then I'm going to be there. Oh, like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. And then she kind of does what she's going to do. So yeah, everybody's seen this movie. It's been out for a year, but she does what she's going to do, and then stupidly lets the bad guy leader defeat her, and then but earlier she gets to confront Mulan turning her back into a girl or something, which the cartoon made a lot more sense, and it didn't make much sense. But it was like, okay, yeah, no, and now we can address the Jedi, because the witch lady defeats herself, literally. She lets the bad guy kill her with an arrow, even though earlier she could have turned into anything, and she turns into the eagle, and big fight up on those ramparts, and they're building the tower that's later seen in the shot. That was actually built 300 years later by ammunition in the story, and there was like fire and stuff down there, because in a Disney movie there always has to be fire burning and volcanoes and things. The sword falls there. But yeah, it's like, okay. At least she didn't hug the Emperor like in the cartoon, but it got a little sillier. And then we have Mulan, who... this version of Mulan, like many of them have said, including the Stone Gremlins guys and the drama lady, and the Channel Awesome people as well, is like, she's a Jedi. She's literally a Jedi. She starts out as a little girl Jedi who can run around buildings and go up walls and wall running and stuff. Parkour style. Wall running and wire fu and that kind of thing. Wire fu goes back to at least 2000. It's not that far back. So, yeah, that would be anachronistic as well. That we're not doing wall running. That's parkour. That's late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, they wouldn't be doing that. A classic movie of that is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. If you want to see something really cool, like early, that's one of the earliest ones that did that. And Shaolin Soccer, a bunch of other ones. Yeah, and The Killer and stuff like that. The Killer was more about guns, but yeah, the original Chinese version, and so yeah, the Ung Bak the Thai Warrior, that was later too. Yeah, so there's a bunch of other movies. I see a lot of Kung Fu movies. I see a lot of Jackie Chan movies too, so there's a lot of Jackie Chan influences there. Yeah, their battle tactics were odd. Yeah, ancient Chinese battle tactics were not like Western ones, with the phalanxes of armies and soldiers in rows, lining up on a battlefield to face each other in rows and fire arrows. It would have been a little more haphazard than that because they could have just picked each other off. They're all good archers. They would they'd immediately die like in the first 2 minutes. Yeah, yeah, you wouldn't do that. Oh yeah, it would just be no. I think the don't quote me on it, but I think the Shadiversity sword and sorcery guy pointed that out. He was like, he was talking about it. He was like, yes, their battle tactics are ridiculous. What are they doing? Ooh. But yes, they have these like spinny ball things too. At one point, there's a fight, swords and arrows and spinny ball things. In this sort of, they have like those spinning maces, kind of like ones, modern ones, fairly modern ones. They wouldn't have had those then. They would have had like plowshares that they would have made into weapons. So they have like the ends of staffs and things like that. They would have had melee weapons and swords and spikes, spears and swords. Yes, they would have had arrows and early versions of fireworks, but they wouldn't have been like used in combat like Greek fire or something and shooting rocks on a. At one point they had literally a trebuchet. Where did they get that? Did they get it from the French? Because I don't think they had trebuchets back then. I don't think so. This is like what was supposed to, I don't know what century they were trying to make this story. If it was like maybe the 7th century or something, or 8th century, somewhere around there, China. They didn't have that yet. A little later on. Oh yeah. So after the Middle Ages, then they would have that. Yeah. So they had their Middle Ages was different from European Middle Ages. European Middle Ages was like maybe 900 or 1000 AD to 1300 AD or so. Where in China it was a little later, like when the Renaissance in Europe was going on, then it was kind of in China. So if this movie actually takes place in the 1500s in China, then that kind of could make sense, but it doesn't. Judging by their armor and stuff they're wearing. So it doesn't. Yeah, so we have Jedi Mulan hanging out with the boys. Let be a man. And we have none of them figuring out, not even once, that she's a girl. They totally know that. Imagine them stinking and stuff. Yeah, some people were butthurt about, it's a story about an empowered woman. Those people are silly because it was actually supposed to be about that. So, empowered woman, fine. That's what it's about. But they made her overpowered. It's like she has no story arc. In the cartoon, she doesn't have immediate chi powers. Ki, they say in Korean martial arts. Studied that for many years. They call it ki. It's a chi energy. Everybody has it. It's sort of like the Force in Star Wars, but doesn't actually move things and objects. It's just the Force. It doesn't do like Yoda. You can't astral project or anything. It's more like you have extra energy. Charges you. Everyone has it. Yeah, it's not like in the movies. This movie where she has amazing parkour ability. No, that's not what it is. Yeah, so she has Jedi chi powers already. So she has no arc because she's invincible before she even gets to the camp. And so she's invincible all the way through, even when like the witch lady zaps her powers because she says, "Oh, you're a woman and you have to take you're lying and you have to become a woman again and everything." And that's her. That's in this version. That's her. Her transformation is, I've been zapped by the witch and I've lost my power, so I'm gonna take my armor off and run back to the city and go join the fight and then claim that I'm not gonna. It's a little strange. It's like why did you do that? But yeah, and they give Jet Li lines in here and he doesn't get to do anything. But yeah, it was Jet Li. He was from the 90s. It was Jet Li. He's He's one of the Bruce Lee characters. After Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee character. Yeah, he didn't get to do anything in this. It's weird. Oh, no, what's funny is early on, they're supposed to be, they're all Chinese actors. That's cool. But they make them sound like they're dubbed. Why did they do that? The voices were all clipped and dubbed sounding. It's like, why did they dub them? Why does that sound like that? It doesn't sound like that later on when they show up in the village at the end and they're like, oh, hey, everything's okay. Then they talk normal. So it's like, why did they make the beginning sound stilted? It's odd. Why does he do that? So yeah, this movie's a mess. It's a hot mess. Yeah, Imperial Red they wouldn't have that. Only the guards. Yeah, the Imperial Red thing is Western. They wouldn't have that. It's Western. It's entirely Western. It's not Eastern. So, yeah, Imperial Red. Oh, they do have red, but they wouldn't reserve it for that group of at that time. Yeah, that was more Western influence after. Yeah, there's a bunch of weird stuff going on there. Yeah, they would have been archers and mounted archers, and they could have had horses. Then they could have shot an arrow on horseback. That's really hard. But in the movie, they're magical, and they can they can actually do that. Yeah. Oh God. So, yeah. Mulan. Yeah. So, the remake, the cartoon is better. They did do the geisha paint thing a couple of times, just to what's funny is like early on they got some razzed for when they did the trailers for the movie. I remember when the COVID was not yet started, but they were showing trailers for it, and there was so much razzing on the internet about the geisha paint scene. It wasn't just me, a bunch of people. So they actually took that out of the trailers. They're like, we'll take that out of the trailers, not show that. They were so. That wasn't the only thing wrong with it. They needed to take the concentration camps. Or those camps for the... I guess they weren't really concentration camps. They were more like, they weren't labor camps. They were, what did I call it? Yeah, they weren't concentration camps in the sense that they were like Nazi ones. They were the kind where they were holding them as prisoners, but not killing them. They were holding them. It was still bad. But yeah, they shouldn't have showed that. Cut that out. Oh, but yeah, no one knows that. So yeah, I finally saw it. Yeah, that weird fight scene in the scaffolding at the end was. Yeah, the witch, has the Imperial City, and apparently she gets bored, and she decides, I guess I'm gonna go up on the scaffold and fight the main bad guy, and give Mulan the ability to fight the bad guy, and then let the bad guy shoot me dead. That it's like why did she do that? And then the bad guy and the Emperor catches the arrow and they fight. And he falls into the lava. The sword gets dropped into the lava, and she gets back to her homeland, even though she's been given the honor guard thing. The honor guard follows her back and gives her the new sword with the new thing on the end. Of course, there were 2 or 3 options in the movie where it joked about there was a scene in which she says, "Yes, you may. Now that I've revealed who I am, you may have to kill me because And I was like, roll credits. And he's all, well, very well then. The credits roll. About an hour into the movie. But yeah, it was bad, but it wasn't horrible bad. It had enough fight scenes in the last hour to keep your interest, but it would have been better on the big screen. But yeah, I would say that it's somewhere between the Aladdin remake and the Lion King one. The Beauty and the Beast one is better than all of them. I think the Cinderella one is better than the Beauty and the Beast one. And oddly enough, the the Pete's Dragon remake is actually better than the other two. It's a lot of par with the Pete's Dragon one. It's fine. The Pete's Dragon remake was actually better than the original cartoon of Pete's Dragon. But in this case, no, the Mulan cartoon is better. It has its flaws, but it's better. And it had and the idea of a reverse cross-dresser in a Disney movie from the 90s is really, really different. They didn't really go there. I know they snuck it in when they had Ursula the Sea Witch, who was clearly modeled after Divine, but that was in '89. But they didn't actually come out and say it. But in the Mulan movie, no, she's a cross-dresser. She dresses up like a dude. She's a cross-dresser. But yeah, the matchmaker thing. Dude, how many movies are going to rip out do that whole matchmaker thing, I spilled the tea on them, haha thing? Like, yeah, even the Grandmaster of the Korean Grandmaster years ago, Tae Kim, she mentioned that too, but she probably got it from maybe it happened to her too, but she also got it from a movie. I don't know, it just doesn't seem like they keep doing that an awful lot. The strong, empowered woman who ruins the matchmaking. Ironically, being that character's case, she was married anyway, so it doesn't matter. No, but later on, but yeah. So matchmaker thing, that's kind of different. Yeah, it's a Western and Eastern thing apparently. The matchmaker. So that's every culture does that or did that at some point. I don't know if they would have done it at this time period though. In their village and everything. The village looked kind of cool, but on the inside, but around sort of. Actually, as for the geisha paint scene, I did see clips from that when I did my Trans Alternate Mush parody, and I put the geisha paint on the. I didn't really. I sort of simulated it. I didn't put geisha paint on the Transformer. I just said they did. Yeah, so because he was all shiny, so I made his face shinier by shining the light onto it, but it wasn't. And the female Autobots are all standing around and like, look what we did like Mulan, because I was making fun of it to the movie, and not making fun of the geisha paint, but making fun of the movie doing it because it's not accurate. And having one of them comment, "Oh, that's not Chinese, that's Japanese. Why would you have geisha paint on?" She wouldn't, because she's not Japanese. Had to be something else. And the drama lady pointed out that was the main problem with that is they made the mother look like a clown by putting on the wrong kind of makeup. And the costume was wrong. Yeah, it was 2 centuries wrong, too modern. It's like, what the heck was she doing? And not only that, but at one point, in the ending scene, she's wearing a kimono. She's Japanese, all of a sudden. Wow, they got everything. Man. Everything wrong. They doubled down. They were like, okay, well, we didn't show the face paint scene at the end. Then they just did it they doubled down and they said, we're going to show 5 people come out face painted. And then we're going to have them wear kimonos when they meet the Emperor. And then we're going to have them wear kimonos when they show up at the building. And it's like, you just doubled down. You just made it worse. You made not only one person geisha painted looking wrong, but also put them in kimonos. Man, no. Oh my goodness. Well, yes, would have fit in a Japanese thing, not in a no play. But if they were doing a spoof no play thing of the story, they did at one point reference the rabbits. They couldn't tell whether they were male or female. That's from the actual poem. There's a poem about Mulan. Jin Mulan. Yeah. In the movie, it's Way Mulan, so they changed it. Yeah. And a lot of the information I already got from elsewhere, from watching other reviews. It may be wrong. So, yeah. But this movie is so old that there probably won't be much comments because it's over a year old. So that was my review of Mulan. I'll give it... give it like 2 stars. Maybe 1.5 stars. Yeah, for just the fight choreography. 1.5 stars. Yeah, out of 5. It's not good. Oh, it's kind of a mess. hot mess. A hot Jedi chi mess. This, yeah. And what is this? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Let's do some modern. Okay. Fine, let's throw in a little Korean in there. Sure. It's just all over the place. Well, maybe they thought of it first, but no. They throw in some Korean. Because it's not just Kung Fu they're doing, even though Kung Fu wouldn't. Well, maybe, I guess, some version of it. It was the farmer's martial art. So yes, they would train the peasant class to fight the kung fu or the karate or the whatever local group was doing their martial arts. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, whatever.